can't wait to hear all about how we can help learners be more accurate and, most importantly, more fluent in the classroom. So I'll hand it over to Nicholas Beare. Thanks, Nick.
Okay, thanks very much indeed. Right, so am I going to get my presentation? I don't seem to be getting. Let's see if we can get that. Oh, there we are. Okay, right. I hope everybody can see well. You can see me, you can hear me, more importantly, and you can see the presentation, I hope. Is that right? I hope you can. Right, so do put up some messages if you can't. Right, now, before we start, I've been doing these talks for years and years, but I still tend to talk too quickly. So if I'm talking too quick, just put up a little message and say, you're talking too quickly, slow down, something like that. No problem there at all. Right, now there's another slight problem, which is I was looking at some of David's presentation, which was great. And first of all, I was thinking, we're on the same level, we're talking about the same things. And then I thought, gosh, sometimes we're even doing the same activities. Not exactly the same, because David's were quite special, or a special way of doing things, but they were slightly similar to some of mine. So if you find things are a bit too similar to the one you saw before, just let me know and we'll shift over a little bit. Okay. All right. So we're talking about accuracy and fluency. Right, let's just see, let's get onto the chat so we can see if you've put anything there. Right, I think we're okay there for the moment. Right, I think we're all right. People have got their sound now. Good. Okay, so accuracy and fluency. Right. First of all, we're going to talk about, this is a list here, what we're going to do. Quickly talk about accuracy and fluency, then we'll go on to what the problem is with those accuracy and fluency in schools, where they can be a bit of a problem. We're going to then talk about activities to improve speaking fluency, which is such an important thing to do. It really is important to get the fluency done. We'll be focusing on fluency because you can see we have plenty of activities in the class. Then we're going to look at the next thing, which is we've got some great activities, etc., in part 3, but how can we be sure that we can make these work in the class? So it'll be a question of kind of classroom management, how it can be sure we can get the activities done quickly, because they're all kind of quick little things to get students thinking, almost like putting a little bit of oil in their brain, a bit of WD-40, if you have that, you know, when you've got a door that's squeezed, yep, so you put a little oil on it, nice, okay? So this is like putting a bit of oil on their brains to get them thinking in English, and that's really the basis of fluency, speaking fluency and writing fluency too. So that'll be a little bit about classroom management, how we can make sure the activities work, and then what other types of fluency are there? Mainly writing fluency, we'll talk about that a little bit. Right, so let's move on to what is the basic difference. Oops, I can't seem to move on to the next one. I'll do it like that. Right, what's it all about? Accuracy and fluency. Well, as it makes it clear, accuracy here is all about correcting vocabulary and grammar. No mistakes. We don't want any mistakes. Let's carry on now with as we're saying, what quickly about what the difference is and why fluency is a bit of a problem in the class. So accuracy, everybody understands, all about correct vocabulary and grammar and no mistakes at all. Right, let's move on to the next one. I can't seem to move on, actually, anyway. Right, now the problem is that means getting out the red pen for correcting mistakes. You've got simple little text like this. So imagine this is some student talking. And if the student talks, really, you can understand it perfectly well. My best friend name is Jack. He are 15 years old and he are very clever. He often helped me with my homework. Now, there are some little mistakes there. But they don't really stop us from understanding it at all. Unfortunately, because we work in a school, we've got to do that. Ding, 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 ding. Get out the red pen and point out all the mistakes. because that's what accuracy is all about. In schools, school lessons are all about accuracy. We can't get around it. We have our friend here asking what's 2 plus 2, and look what it has to say, 2 plus 2 equals 4. That's right. You're going to get something like this. The next one, this is something you'll never see in a school. What's 2 plus 2? 2 plus 2 equals 5. Yes, that's more or less right. That's never going to happen in a school, is it? Because in schools, it's all about accuracy. So we're always having to point out the mistakes. However, that can be a little bit much for the students sometimes, can't it? Because it does mean that at times they're going to start getting a little bit self-conscious. I can't get on to the next. I am having problems today. Can't seem to get onto the next picture. Right. Okay, let's go on to this one, because this is just the sort of thing that can happen when students are corrected when they're speaking. It's like having somebody shouting, "You made a mistake," and that's going to make them in a very difficult position. So we do have to think about accuracy all the time in school. We can't get around that. There's no way we can get around that, particularly now, because more and more we've got emphasis on exams. It's about exams a lot of the time, and exams of course are all about accuracy. And in fact, more and more exams don't even have a speaking component. They have a writing component, and writing fluency is important there, but we don't have a speaking component. And so I think sometimes speaking fluency just gets kind of forgotten. They're not going to be tested on that. Now, I think that's a bit of a mistake, because really fluency is really, really important. Speaking fluency and writing fluency, they go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. You've got to have both of them, basically. And I think really one of the most important things is that the more fluent the students are, the more confident they feel. This I feel very much myself, because one of the things that I think, this is a slight sidetrack, one of the things that all teachers who write textbooks like me should do is to put ourselves in the position of a student sometimes. So it's a good idea to learn a language. Yeah, every now and then try and learn a new language, because we forget how difficult it is to learn a language. So if we put ourselves in that position every now and then, as people who write the textbooks, we can really get a much better idea of what it's like to be a student. And one of the experiences I've had done two over the last, let's say, 5-6 years, a couple of languages, very different results. One was Arabic, and the Arabic teacher I had was not really a professional teacher, unfortunately. He was a very nice bloke. He wasn't really a teacher. And so he would ask us to try and say things, and as soon as we made a mistake, boom, he came down on us. You know, he had to be corrected. I can't tell you how upsetting that is. It really is. It's not just I'm not learning the language. I'm really getting upset in the class because I want to talk, but I can't, because every time I make a little mistake, boom, the teacher comes down, because they're terrified of people making a mistake. The second language I learned a bit later on, that was about 5 years ago, I say learned, in inverted commas, was Kurdish, because I was working with the Kurds. And we actually had to do 2 Kurdish languages, in fact. And it was, or 2 Kurdish dialects, let's say. That was a completely different experience, because the teacher would let us speak. We enjoyed the classes, we made much more progress, and we really got a bit of confidence. We all felt that we could actually speak a little bit of the language and use a bit of the language and write a bit of the language. So that's a very different experience that I had, and it made me realize just how important fluency is. That you can't really have accuracy unless your students are fluent as well, because all the time you're thinking, I'm going to make a mistake, I'm going to make a mistake. You just won't get much done. So fluency does give students confidence. It gave me confidence as a language student. That'll be the same for all those other students as well. There's another point, of course, that in the real world, not in exam world, in the real world, fluency is much more important than accuracy. If somebody comes up to us and asks a question in English and they make a little grammatical mistake, that doesn't matter. We know perfectly well what they say. So in a practical sense, definitely these languages that fluency is actually more important fluency is much more important than accuracy. As somebody puts here, we have to take care when correcting students. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, about how we can do the corrections, because we do have to do corrections of some sort, but how we can do them later on. Right. So the upshot of that is all this means our students need fluency time, a special time to actually concentrate on fluency. And immediately there's a problem, because I imagine that to be like all teachers, like me, when I'm teaching, there's not enough time to get through the course. So it's all very well people saying, oh, you must do this in the class and you must do that in the class, etc., etc. Most of the time, we simply don't have enough minutes in the classroom. We've got to get through the whole class. We can't keep on adding more and more activities. So all of these we need to know. All of these we need to know. So just looking at the comments here. Need to know your students. You're absolutely right. Public correction harms. I like that. Harm sounds quite drastic, but yes, it does. It can have a really quite a bad effect, as I found myself when I was being taught Arabic. I was constantly being corrected. I felt like that. Yeah, you feel like, ooh, terrible. Right, so good point there. Right, moving on to next point. With fluency time, that sounds great. We're going to have fluency time in the class. We'll talk about that. Then the other problem comes in. I don't know, this will be different for different areas of the world, but certainly more and more in all the places where I've taught or been teaching, parents are becoming more and more a part of the teaching process. They want to know about what their children are doing. They sometimes, rather annoyingly, will tell the teacher what the teacher should be doing, and they perhaps find some ideas of the teacher rather unusual. And if we go around saying to the students, as I put here, it's okay to make mistakes, that sounds a bit odd. For most teachers, they won't get the idea. So if we have to explain to teachers what we're talking about the idea of fluency and fluency time, then we don't want to give them the idea of it's okay to make mistakes, because I think a lot of teachers are fixed on the idea of of they must not make mistakes, and if they make a mistake they must be corrected, and that's not really the way. We shatter their confidence. As somebody said before, we do harm them. Right, somebody said in Japan teachers understand. Well, that's great. You must have some very nice, parents understand. You must have some very nice parents. That's great, so they're on your side. Right, so in our fluency time, let's start looking at some very simple activities. We need quick activities because teachers don't have much time in the class. So lots of quick activities. They're quick, they're fun. We want students to enjoy themselves. The whole point of fluency work is to enjoy using the word language. And we want something that'll keep you on your toes. So you're really having to think, to move, to think in English. We'll start with very simple single word games. Then we'll move on to single sentence games, and then we'll do some keep talking games, which are a little bit longer, where you've got to talk for longer and longer periods, but still not very long, because we know there isn't that much time in the class. Right, moving on. I wish I could. There we are. What have we got here? First one. Right, most of these games, what you need is a little pack of cards. All teachers need lots and lots of little packs of blank cards. I can tell you that these blank cards, in fact, some of these actual cards I've written here, I've been using for I don't know how many years now. Well, actually, I do know how many years, because it was the first time I went to Argentina and I had a bit of a problem. Quick emergency activities I had to do. Rushed out to a stationery shop, bought lots of cards, these cards, and started doing activities like this. Now that was, I think, about 15 years ago. We're still using the same packs of cards now. Actually, I've rewritten some of these, but anyway. So yeah, have your little set of cards and then keep them and use them again and again and again. So I'll be showing you lots and lots of activities with cards, basically using the same set of cards. So once you've done it once, whoopee, there, it's there forever and ever. Oh, well, you can carry on using them many, many times. Right, somebody said sustainable. Yeah, we're all about sustainability. I never thought about it that way, but thank you very much. Right, excellent. So the first game, this is really simple, but it's one the students love. Give me 5. Right, okay. On our cards, we've got, there we are. In our cards, we've got different categories. Rooms in a house, whoops, that's it. Furniture, vegetables, fruit, right, dozens of them. School subjects, things you can do with a phone, parts of a computer, types of transport. I'm going to go on, there's loads and loads of them. Right, okay. So each student has a little set of cards. Student A, student B, okay, and they put them the cards down, face down actually, right, put them down. Student A takes a card and says, give me 5 animals. Give me 5 animals. Student B has to quickly think of 5 animals. Quite difficult. Okay, horse, dog, spider. 2 more animals. 5 animals, please. Anybody? 5 animals? No, we're not getting any suggestions. Ah, well done. Hooray, there's our first one. There's an expert here. Okay, that's student's B turn. Pick up a card. It says furniture. Okay, give me 5 furniture words. 5 furniture words. 5 furniture words. We're on to 5 furniture words. Table chair, 5. Yes, everybody says table chair. Table chair, sofa, that's the ones that always come up. Whoopee, well done, hooray. Well done. And on to the next one. Types of transport. So student A would say, give me 5 types of transport. Moving on to types. Well, here we are. Brilliant. Look at this. You are quick. Well done. Now, there we are. Just carry on and on. All of these activities we're doing with the cards, we're going to do them for a short period, for like 5 minutes in the class. Yeah. We don't want to spend hours doing it. But about 5 minutes maximum. The students will be really kind of getting going. They get quite hyped by the end. I mean, this was a perfect example with what you were doing to begin with, just a few little suggestions coming through, and then suddenly everybody wants to get it in, get the words in edgeways. Students will be working in pairs, so they'll all be talking to each other all the time. And if you add an element of competition, say, see how many cards you can get through in 5 minutes, and that you as the teacher can at the end go around and see how many cards they've used. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, count them, yeah? See who's used the most. Of course, as good teachers, you will also be checking as you go around while they're actually doing the activity that they are really guessing the subject. Yeah, they're not just zooming through the cards and saying, whoop, done. No, you've got to check they're actually doing it. And then at the end, you can announce the winner. So everything's got a little element of competition. Everything is quick. Everything kind of is fun, and the students really enjoy all of these little ones. They really enjoy at any level. Yeah, obviously, the categories you talk about are going to be different if you're using, let's say, primary 3 students or teenagers or adults. The categories might be different, but all levels enjoy simple stuff like this. When do we do this? Anytime. You can do it during the beginning of a class just to get it started. It's amazing. Teachers often say, I haven't got time, but there's always time to fit in some quick activity. If you keep the pace going in your class, quick activity at the beginning of the class, and that gets people worked up well, and they're moving faster and thinking faster and just working faster in the class. Another good time is perhaps when you get to halfway through the class, particularly if it's after lunch, and suddenly the whole class goes, it's been going, whoa, 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 whoa. No, the level is down. It's time to play a little game like this, okay? That's the time you can use it. Just get it started for 5 minutes. Students love it, and they're kind of more energized once they've done it. So the main thing is to help them with their fluency, which it does, like oiling their brain. They're kind of thinking more in English, not thinking in their own language and then going to English and then going back. They're actually just coming out with the English stuff. And it means the rest of the class goes faster. So almost make time, actually. Right, okay, fun with learning. Yes, there we are. You are absolutely right. Okay, let's move on to another one. On to the next one. Just a tiny bit more complicated. Oh, well, no, that's actually rather similar. That would be a similar activity you could do another day, where instead of saying, give me 5 animals, say, how many animals can you think of, right? And the students have to think very quickly of all the animals. They'll probably get 10, 11. Again, working in pairs, and you can see which group has the most animals at the end, or whatever categories it is. Right, on to another activity. What would that be? Whoops, single sentence games. We jump there too. Right, single sentence games. Right, I think this might be a little bit like one that David was doing, but never mind, never mind. So here you've got another pack of cards, loads and loads of cards, use them again and again and again. These ones all have sentences with little mistakes in, only very simple, not grammatical mistakes, we're not worried about that. These are questions of facts, whether it's true. The capital of the United States is Paris. No. Student B has to correct it. So it's a similar kind of game. You've got all the cards. The students take one card in pairs. Student A says, the capital of the United States is Paris. Student B has to think, the capital of France is Paris, whoopee. Okay, next one. Student B takes a card, right. There are 26 hours in a day. Student A thinks 26, no, there are 24 hours in a day. Ding, that's another one, okay. So all of these cards have sentences with very simple mistakes on, very simple factual mistakes, not grammatical mistakes. We're not worried about grammar here. But the students have, in this case, have got to quickly think of a sentence that corrects it with the correct information. So if we were moving down there, we could have here, there's a few examples. All of these I can send you on a kind of like a PDF or a Word file, doesn't matter. Afterwards, you have to give me your address or give it to the Macmillan people, and they can send it to you. Right, here are just some examples, but we won't go on because we're running out of time ever so quickly because we wasted rather a lot. So I think let's move straight on to the next one. Right, which is more single sentence games. These can be a lot of fun. We're not talking about individual words now. We're going on to making actual sentences or completing sentences. And this one is more finishing a sentence. Different things, again, all on your cards. Something that drives me mad is, so student A says, something that drives me mad is, and student B has to say what it is. Something that drives me mad is, and they can think of it. When I can't find my glasses. Well, that was me, okay? Drives me mad when I can't find my glasses completely. Loads of other sentences, which you'll see here. Makes me want to be a student again, says Patricia. Well, that's very nice. That's a very nice comment. Thank you very much. I really like that one. That's good. Yeah, we can all be students. I think it does add that element of enjoyment and fun and kind of competition, which is really an important part of learning in English, of learning a language. When little children are learning a language, they love doing it. They love, learning their own native language. They're smiling and happy all the time. Sometimes we need a lot of that in the classroom as well. So thanks very much. Right. So that was some examples of the something that drives finish the sentence. So something that drives me mad is, something that makes me happy is, the best thing last week was, if I could choose anywhere to go on holiday, they're all on your little cards here, and you can just use these sets of cards again and again and again. There's one, there's another, etc., etc. Right, we are zooming through now, aren't we? Whoopee. Let's move on to the next one. What have we got now? Another single sentence game. Similar idea. We've got would you rather. We're getting up to a more advanced level now. If we're using like would you rather, we're talking more, not so much. Maybe actually primary 6, they might have seen would you rather or would you prefer. Intermediate students, yes, and adults, but we need to be careful with the ideas we're actually expressing. And some of these are rather more adult, perhaps. So for older age group, well, for adults or older teenagers, perhaps. Would you rather learn to, well, okay, would you rather, all the questions in this little set of cards begin with would you rather. Here's the example. Student A starts with would you rather, would you rather, what does it say? It says the same, yes, learn to fly a plane or sail a boat. And student B has to say which one he'd rather do and give a reason. Again, you're getting them to think more quickly in English. I'd rather learn to sail a boat because I don't like flying. That's me again. Okay. Right, okay, another one. Would you rather fly in a rocket around the moon or in a submarine to the bottom of the sea? Yeah, that's a tricky one. I can't decide that one. I think I would rather, well, let's ask it. Would you rather fly in a rocket around the moon or a submarine to the bottom of the sea? Let's see what answers we get. Any answers? I'd rather submarine. One rocket, Both. No, you can't have both. No, 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 no. You got to choose one. Fly in the air, fly a submarine to the moon. No, you can't. Well, what's nice about this is what a lot of students do as they get older, particularly teenagers. They find some funny little take on it. So, you carefully design the questions, so so that they can choose which one or the other, and they find some way of choosing both, like taking a submarine and explore the seas of the moon. So I can't choose, etc. Yeah, well, that's great. Both, all, none. They can't have none. Right. It's my dream to visit the moon, Renata says. Okay, Renata, see you there. I think I'll choose the moon too. Yep, I think we're enjoying the moon more than anything. Anyway, once again, it's got an element of competition in, because you've got the students actually doing as many as they can. So as it says here, see how many choices you can make in 5 minutes. So at the end, you can go around and check how many they've done. As always, with all these activities, keep circulating around the class so you can check that the students are doing them, because sometimes it can happen the students don't do them. They're just flicking through the cards quickly. You can make sure they do the activity, and that way it's all perfect and you can see who's the actual winner. Right, just for some quick example sentences there. I got some there. You got some, would you rather fly in a rocket? We saw that. Would you rather learn to fly a plane? Would you rather live in the United States or Australia? Would you rather have a pet snake or a pet spider? You must choose one. Yeah, that's the whole point. You must choose one. Would you rather win an Oscar or an Olympic medal? Oh, that's an interesting one. Let's try that. Okay, to all of you, would you rather win an Oscar or from whatever thing, or an Olympic medal for whatever sport, Somebody has a spider already. That's good. Oscar. We're preferring Oscars by the look of it. Oscar, the medal. Somebody wants a medal. A couple of Olympic medals. Mainly Oscars. A few Olympic medals. Or somebody wants the spider back. We're on the other question there. Very nice. Okay, interesting to see what people actually want. I like the idea that most people want an Oscar. I won't ask which one. The most fantastic person. Oscar, probably. Right. So those are all examples of single sentence games. So we've had single word games like Give Me Five and so on, and single sentence games. And all of these are quick activities, yes? Probably not more than 5 minutes, I think, as a general rule, not more than 5 minutes, because you're using them at the beginning of the class. You're coming in, you're handing out the cards straight away and say, okay, give me five. And if you've done this before, you can perhaps do it again in 3 weeks' time, and again, let's say in 4 weeks' time. Students know the rules. They don't even need to be explained, but we'll talk a little bit about getting the activities done quickly and so on. But it's all about having them quick activities the students enjoy, that, as I say, kind of like oil their brains. But it's a little bit of getting everything going round. It's all been a little bit slow because they're a bit tired. Put a little bit of this in, vroom, they're getting round and round, going really nice. And thinking in English. It's all quick. They haven't got time to move from one language to another. It's all the English bit coming out. It's getting practiced. And that's what fluency is all about. I think we should point out, actually, of course, in a lot of books, most textbooks, there are fluency activities, like kind of long discussions and this kind of stuff. It's quite obvious that those are fluency activities. Obviously, you're going to be doing those. What I'm concentrating on here is getting the balance right, because, as I say before, fluency is really important. I just think it's a bit more important than accuracy, but from the exam point of view, we must do both. But fluency is essential. And if we just do the fluency activities in a textbook, it's not really enough. We've got accuracy up here because they're doing endless little gap fills and so on. That's real accuracy stuff. They're not doing very many fluency activities. We've got accuracy up here, fluency a bit down here, going down and down. So I'm trying to get the balance right. I'm not saying whether we have to have 50-50 or like that, but we just do need more fluency activity somehow. And the way to do it, I think, it seems to me the quickest way to do it is with activities like this, where we can actually get the students to think in English because they're under a little bit of pressure, not fun pressure. They're enjoying it. They're getting it done. It's adding kind of life to the class and kind of forcing them to actually think in English, which is kind of like the basis of fluency. Right. So Somebody, lots of people still want their they want their spiders, don't they? Everybody wants spiders. Well, we can't arrange that, I'm afraid. Okay, where are we now? Let's move on. Right, keep talking games. Oh, I think I've jumped ahead there. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. Okay, keep talking games. This is the last little category. We're coming right up to the end. Oh dear, oh dear. Right. This one, this is just great. It's such a simple activity, but everybody loves it. It's very similar in some ways to the ones we did before. But basically what you've got is cards again. Yeah, use your cards again and again and again with all sorts of different things. I've got here a fridge, a film, a whale, lots of different categories. You could do different categories, or you could just do anything from anywhere. And the students are in pairs, and they've got to, student A has got to talk about what's on the card and try and get student B to guess what it is. But of course, student A mustn't actually say the word, okay? So in this case, student A has picked up the card that says a fridge, okay? So it's not a fridge, okay? You have it in your kitchen, you put food in it, it's very cold, and student B is thinking, what is it? It's a fridge, okay? Let's see how we can do that one. Let's try with my cards here. So I'll be saying what the thing is, and you've got to guess what it is, okay? So this is an animal. It's a very big animal, and it's a very big animal. It lives in the sea. I think it's actually the biggest animal in the world. The big whale. Well done. Hooray, hooray. This is some, everybody got well, very good. Right, this is a drink, and it's a drink you have a lot of in England, and you have it kind of in the morning for breakfast, and it's very simple. Tea, hooray, very good, okay. And this is something which lots of people really like. They can open it, and it's got lots of little things in it that you can try and taste, and they really like this. No, not wine. Ha! For breakfast, please. Whatever. No, that was tea. Okay, it is a guessing game. As somebody says, cornflakes for breakfast. Well, it could be, but you can't drink them, right? Okay, so here, this one is a bit difficult. It comes in a little container, and you open it up, and it's got lots of little brown things in it. And you take the brown things, not peanuts, no. You take the brown things, you eat them, and chocolate box, hooray, very good, excellent. Right, now this actually is the most fun. This game is such good fun. You can play it with any age group, okay? You can play it with adults, you can play it with friends, actually, because it's such fun. People get nuts trying to guess these things. Obviously, if you're doing it with, okay, maybe not very little children, but years 5 and 6 would be okay, and then teenagers and adults, absolutely fine. And you have to choose your objects. Obviously, you have to choose things in the world of a student in year 5 or year 6, and you'll have to go upwards and upwards for older age groups. But it's great, great fun. It really is. Okay, so there we are. That's that. Now, I think we're going to have to call it a day now, which is a pity, because the next one is my big favorite, which is real role plays. If we can really get students doing role plays, perhaps maybe another day we'll do a webinar just about role plays, because they are the best thing, but very often I think perhaps they're not quite the way they work out in class. It's just students reading out text they've already, or dialogues they've already written down. What you really need to do is to set up a simple situation with characters, with names, with a little problem to solve. And very often, once the students get the hang of it, they'll really, really enjoy it. So here we've got what you'd write on the board with different characters and so on. You'd elicit names. You actually always draw pictures of the people. That's when it works, okay? But I don't think, unfortunately, we'll have time to do that. What I can do is put in some notes about that in the little handout, well, it won't be a handout, printout I can do for you if you want it, obviously. But I don't think we've got time to really do it now because we're coming up to nearly to the end. Right. You would love, thank you. Somebody says they would love a seminar on role play. Well, we'll do that one day. Whoopee, that would be good. Right, one more. Are you a born designer? That I am not. My goodness, no, definitely not. Right, where are we? So, well, I've just been told we got time for one more. So let's quickly go through how we do that, actually, because it is, I think it's really important to get these right. So basically what you're doing with a role play is you've got to make it clear to the students what they're going to be saying, yeah, and you've got to make them want to say it, okay? But we don't want to practice too much beforehand. So these are my rules, and actually, generally speaking, they always work. It's better once you've got the students familiar with them, but I've done this with students all over the world who aren't my students. I just, quite often I go somewhere and people say, will you teach a class? Oh, no. Go for a role play because they always work. And then the teachers who have the class say, oh, that was really enjoyed that. I must do it. Well, that's what we want to encourage them. Right. So basically, going through these stages, we'll go through them very quickly because we are running a bit late, but how to make free, fast and fun role plays, how to make them work. Draw the characters on the board. So we start off, first of all, with just those little faces, okay? As you can see, I am not a great artist, but it doesn't matter. It's just funny little faces, okay, for the characters that you're going to be representing. Here I've done 4. Perhaps to start with might be better just to have 2 or 3, depending on the age group and how much they like to talk and so on. Right, so you're starting off with just the pictures, the faces, okay? Then you can elicit names from the students, okay, and for each one. So we can assume that for here, this boy is Jack, this girl is Lucy, this girl is Tina, and this boy, yes, is Toby, right? Then you write the words, you as the teacher write the words, because you're setting up the situation for the characters. So Jack loves football. Lucy loves the movies. Now, you're not getting these ideas from the students. These are what you do to set up the role play, the conflict. Tina loves music. Toby loves eco activities. Yeah, he likes doing things like picking up rubbish, actually, is the one. Right, okay. And then you have to say what the problem is, what they're going to be discussing, okay? So in this case, the situation is they want to decide what to do at the weekend, but they all like different things. And you can put a bit of extra information about it on the board. You can write up free rock concert, these are tickets, yeah, or a football match, or pick up rubbish in the town centre or in the park or whatever. Or for the film Star Wars 15, I just kind of thought of that film. Right, so there's a music, there's football, there's eco activities, and there's Star Wars. And obviously, each person is going to want to go to a different one. But you don't need to explain too much to the students. It's all there on the board. And then the key thing, this really is the most important thing. You've got all that information on the board, but if you just suddenly say, okay, decide what to do this weekend, what to do on Saturday, you'll get nothing. Dozens of silent students. They don't really know how to start. The trick is to give them the opening sentence. So here I've given the opening sentence to Jack. So the opening sentence is, let's go to the football match, okay? So first of all, you check with all the students, who's Jack? In each group, me. They put up their hands, okay? So you say, Jack, you're going to start, okay? Jack, let's go to the football match, okay? 1, 2, 3, off you go. And all the Jacks have to say, let's go to the football match. And other students will reply. Maybe Lucy will be saying, oh, no, I don't like football. Or there's a fantastic film. Or Toby will say, I don't like football and I want to go and do eco activities. Oh, Tina says, no, I don't want to pick up rubbish. And before you know it, they'll all be happily talking about it. And that's the thing. Give them the opening sentence and they can carry on, okay? That is the trick, and that's what makes all the difference. You need confidence, and not too much explanation. It's in the pictures, it's on the information on the board, and it's in the first sentence, and off they go, okay? And that is the way to actually go on. Right, okay, so that is what I really love. In the handout I'll do for you, I'll put in some different situations with the characters you can have and what the conflict is and how you can handle them. And it'd be great to hear from you if you actually do manage to do some of these activities.